welcome back to All Things EarthCache. If you are in EarthCaches, you are in the right place. It's the end of December, and it's been a while since I had made a video, so I needed to get this one out as soon as I could. But again, December's been a bit crazy for me and the fam. Okay, so EarthCache review time up in Huntsville, and my purpose for going to Huntsville was to teach my EarthCache Writing 101 course. And any course, anytime I go, pretty much anywhere, especially if I'm teaching the course, I'm going to look around for EarthCaches to review, right? And do a little trip chaining, if you will. Saw a couple of good ones that were over in what's known as Rainbow Mountain Nature Reserve, just slightly west of Huntsville. It's got a handful of traditionals there as well. And decided that it has a great EarthCache there, which of course I'm about to review, but decided that I would go there and review one of the two that are there. So without further ado, we're going to be looking at a walk on the beach. It is GC1AXTG, and it's a 1.5/3. There's a little bit of terrain that you have to get around in order to get there. But without any further ado, the review. So if you know something about where Huntsville is at, you're like, hang on a second, a walk on the beach. Huntsville's in the north of Alabama, near Tennessee. So, I mean, that's really inland. And as you can see, I'm in the middle of a forest. There are no beaches around here. So what does this EarthCache have to do with beaches? So that's a great question. So a long time ago, this was a beach. What you're seeing at ground zero is sandstone, which is a sedimentary rock. And of course, all sedimentary rock goes through the same process. Parent rock is weathered down, then transported by wind or water until the agent of transport can no longer support the weight. And as more and more, in this case sand, is deposited, eventually the weight pressure caused by compaction and lithification of the sand turns it into the sandstone that you see behind me. And sandstone is valuable to geologists because the individual sand grains record a variety of things, like the provenance, where the sand originated along the watershed, how far it's traveled, based on how rounded the sand is. The bedding, or how the sand is arranged, can also supply clues as to the area of which it was deposited. Was it a beach, a point bar, or like a sand dune, for example? And while Native Americans may have used this as a shelter, no human would have been around when this was a beach. It is pretty cool, though. So no tools are needed for this EarthCache. Simply read the description, come to ground zero. You're going to make some rough calculations about the sandstone feature and of the shelter floor. The CO does require a photo at ground zero, though. From a safety perspective, for the most part, it's normal trail hazards, so watch out for rocks and brambles. At the same time, during the summertime, you should watch out for poison ivy. Apparently it grows pretty well here on Rainbow Mountain. At times there are some cliffs, so just be aware, especially if you're out here with some small children. For the geocacher, Huntsville and the surrounding area has an insane number of geocaches. The only type they're missing is a webcam. So took a quick screenshot and you can tell how many that they have. A really strong geocaching community up there. Of note, they have 3 pieces of geo art in the area or surrounding area. On the screenshot, you're going to be able to see a fleur-de-lis containing over 40 caches, and somewhat visible is a musical note, Where I Go. The third to the north of Huntsville is a Crimson Tide A with 80 caches and a bonus cache. Also, there are a number of geocaches with over 50 favor points and a travel bug hotel with nearly 700 favor points. I did visit the hotel during my visit, and it's absolutely worth all of those favor points. That thing was amazing. So for the Snuggle Muggles, Huntsville, also known as Rocket City, offers a wealth of non-geocaching activities as well. You've got the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, the home of Space Camp, and the largest space museum in the world, a must visit if you have time. You've got Burret on the Mountain, a museum of regional history, which interprets 19th century rural life in Alabama with nature trails and panoramic views of Huntsville and the Tennessee Valley. You've got a children's museum, a railroad museum, and you can visit Alabama's oldest continuously operating hardware store, which was established in 1879. So while it says it's a hardware store, it offers way more than that these days. Unfortunately, it was closed the morning that I tried to visit. When you're ready to eat, Huntsville has you covered from full service to fast food. They've got it all. The Visitor Center website lists over 700 places to eat and drink, from local restaurants to food trucks and more. All right, so how does a walk on the beach stack up against my patented rubric? So here's what I like about the EarthCache. It's got a number. Oh, so I'm sorry. Alabama has a number of EarthCaches on Sandstone, 9 to be exact. But I have yet to see one exactly like this. So it's unique in the fact that it talks about the ripples. The DT rating is spot on. The lesson itself is clear, it's concise, and it's written at the 8th grade level. So while there are no supporting graphics, there is a photo to help visual learners. Now, the tasks are clearly written, and there are an appropriate number of them. Okay, so here's what I don't like about the EarthCache. No supporting graphics. Like I said, I'm a fan of those. There's a photo, but I'm a fan of supporting graphics as well, to give you a little bit more understanding of how those ripples became the way they are today. While it has the right number of tasks, and they're pretty clearly written, they don't reinforce the lesson, nor do they require analysis. And you've got no admin notes or sources provided, which I'm always a fan of as well. Ultimately, after tallying up all of the points, this one gets a solid 4 out of 5 on my scale. Not too bad. So while you have a ton of geocaching choices in and around Huntsville, if you're looking for EarthCaches, this one I think should be on your list. I like the fact that it's a quick walk to ground zero and that there's another EarthCache just a couple hundred meters away. It's also a quick and easy lesson, and kind of a cool lesson if I will say so. Pretty simple tasks as well. And at the same time, it's a beautiful area. Right now I've had beautiful weather, and there's a ton, well, maybe not a ton, but there's a handful of other traditional caches that you can find as well, including the one that I'm sitting on right now. Stories, right? What I'm finding is a common denominator, or at least one common denominator for all of my reviews, is that there's a story behind them all. But before I get to that, I want to make sure that I thank the appropriate people. Thanks to the cache owner of A Walk on the Beach, Clark Bowman, for taking the time to create and maintain this EarthCache for the rest of us. I want to thank the Land Trust of North Alabama for allowing the EarthCache on their preserve. Additionally, one interesting thing was, as I was doing research for this cache during COVID, one of their lead educator, Tim Fells, he would take groups out on a walk along the trail. And so with COVID, he wasn't able to do that. So he did a YouTube video of it. While I was watching the YouTube video, right, when you get good at spotting potential EarthCaches, I spotted 2 on a YouTube video. So again, that's made me kind of laugh. And I actually reached out to him, and he has granted me permission to write those. So I've got a little bit of work to do. So again, thanks to those folks for allowing EarthCaches on their preserve. Before I tell my story, my behind the scenes story, also just want to let you know, I do have some other things coming up from a production standpoint. Looks like I'm going to be unveiling a project that I am pretty proud of here later on this week. So stay tuned for that. And then later on this month, we're going to go over EarthCache goal setting, because of course it's, we got the new year coming up. So I'm a fan of setting goals, and I'm going to unveil to you my goals, and hopefully you'll tell me some of yours. Okay. So behind the scenes. Minor story was that the day before my wife and I were going up there, car that we were taking blew a tire. So that's always fun to drive that car into with a with the donut into your mechanic, and be like, dude, I need this tomorrow. Can you make that happen? And they did. The day that we arrived, there was a fire truck outside of our hotel, always a good sign, that apparently they were rescuing folks in the elevator that had been there for 2 hours. So it happens, I suppose. Okay, so I arrive. I'm out there. I've got all my equipment on. I just arrived at the parking lot to get on the trail and start my filming. It's bright and early. It's crisp. It's a bit cold out. So you may have noticed I had somewhat of a red nose, and I'm packing up, getting ready to close my door, and all of a sudden I hear from behind me, "Hey, do you do much rucking?" And if you're unfamiliar with that term, those of us in the military use it. You put typically a very big and heavy pack on your back, and you go hiking, marching, walking. Ruck marching is what we call it. And nope, haven't done that in quite a bit of time since I got out of course. But he obviously knew that term, so he obviously had been in the military. Yes, he had been in the military. So that one comment created or left or caused, what's the right word here? A 30-minute conversation at least about what I was doing there and EarthCaching and geocaching, and he had never heard of it. So it was kind of funny that, again, chance encounter with a stranger led to him actually showing up later that night to the geocache 101 class that I was attending, and then teaching my class afterwards. Oh, thanks to Game for Travel for hosting those events. But again, it just made me laugh that a simple comment, and I'm not normally the most sociable person I can be when I'm around my tribe, if you will. But yes, 30-minute conversation led to him actually showing up, downloading the app, becoming a premium member, and finding his first cache all in the same day. So you never know what you're going to meet, what's going to happen to you out there on the trail. So I hope, of course, that you have enjoyed this content. Please like and subscribe if you so wish to, and maybe pass it along to your friends. Tell them the great stuff that I'm doing here. And I will see you in the next one. Have a great day.